Sunfire is not dead. King Aegon's dragon is alive despite everyone, including Rhaenyra, and even Aegon himself thinking otherwise. Not only is Sunfire alive, but in his comeback in Season 3, he will fight and kill two dragons, reunite with Aegon, and later kill Queen Rhaenyra. Sunfire is the most beautiful Targaryen dragon in recorded history, and despite his young age, Sunfire is the dragon that kills the most dragons in the Targaryen Civil War, killing 3 dragons in total. While we saw a few glimpses of him in Season 1, and finally got a proper look at him in all his glory in Season 2, we are yet to see Sunfire's most important fights and moments. House of the Dragon sees House Targaryen at its best, with as many as 17 dragons alive. Some of the dragons, like Vhagar and Cannibal, are huge and monstrous and old. Some are fierce and experienced in battle, like Caraxes and Vermithor. Some are quick and small, like Moondancer. But there is only one most beautiful dragon, and it is Sunfire, or at least he was until his fight Meleys and Vhagar. Now he is deformed and wounded like his rider Aegon, but he will be back. Sunfire, also known as Sunfire the Golden, is a male dragon ridden by King Aegon II Targaryen. On Aegon's personal sigil is the 3-headed Targaryen dragon made golden to honor his dragon Sunfire. Aegon's bond with Sunfire is one of the strongest ever. Sunfire has gleaming gold scales which shine like beaten gold in the sunlight, and pale pink wing membranes. His flames are golden as well. According to Archmaster Gildane, Sunfire is the most beautiful dragon ever seen in the known world. Huge and heavy, the splendid Sunfire is a formidable fighter despite his youth. Sunfire's egg hatched on Dragonstone. Although his exact year of birth has not been stated, he has been described as being a young dragon in 120 AC and 129 AC. Sunfire is known to have been older than Tessarion, Daeron's dragon, 3rd son of Queen Alicent. Although it is unknown when exactly Prince Aegon Targaryen claimed Sunfire as his mount, he is known to have been claimed by the prince by 120 AC. King Aegon Targaryen already rode Sunfire during the Dance of the Dragons. The civil war fought between the Greens of Aegon and the Blacks of his half-sister, Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen. We saw Sunfire in action in Episode 4 of House of the Dragon, where he battled a much older and experienced Meleys of Rhaenys. But it was not Meleys that defeated Sunfire, but the biggest dragon alive, Vhagar, that defeated Sunfire when Aemon turned against Aegon. King Aegon, grievously injured and burned from the encounter, is taken to King's Landing to recover. Unable to fly and too huge and heavy to be moved, Sunfire remained near Rook's Rest to allow him time to heal. Criston stationed men near the dragon to guard him. At first, the dragon feeds on the burned carcasses of the slain soldiers, but after those are gone, Criston's men bring Sunfire calves and sheep to eat. When Wallace Mouton, Lord of Maidenpool, reconquers Rook's Rest from Aegon II's forces, he leads his bravest men to Sunfire, hoping to slay the dragon. Enraged by the attacks upon him, Sunfire fights back with his tail in flames, killing 70 of his attackers, including Wallace. In the show, Criston mentions that Sunfire is long in the dying. The show later also implies that Sunfire has since perished. The Black Queen Rhaenyra tells her heir Jacaerys that Meleys fought 2 dragons, Vhagar and Sunfire, and one of them is dead. And then in the final episode of Season 2, Aegon states to Larys that his dragon is dead. But Sunfire is not dead, he is alive. Show is trying to keep the mystery for show-only watchers. It is the exact same as in the book. Everyone thinks the dragon is dead, including Aegon. But then later we find out Sunfire is alive. He'll recover in parallel to Aegon. Within a fortnight of the attack, Sunfire disappears. Although his wing had healed in an awkward angle, Sunfire recovered enough from his battle with Meleys to fly once again. We know that Sir Byron Swan also tried to kill a dragon and is killed in an attempt to during the war, although sources vary as to which dragon he faced. Septon Eustace writes that Byron desired to kill Sunfire, but Archmaester Gildane expresses doubt because the golden dragon had gone missing from Rook's Rest. Just before Rhaenyra takes King's Lancing, Lord Larys Strong helps King Aegon escape the capital, and the king will hide in a remote fishing village on the Isle of Dragonstone. According to the Crabs and Bruins, Sunfire hid in the dark piney woods and caves of Crackclaw Point before eventually making his way to Dragonstone. Aegon and Sunfire have one of the strongest connections between a dragon rider and his dragon. Some think that Sunfyre goes to Dragonstone because of his primal instinct to return to his birthplace, or urge to rejoin his rider Aegon. Some even suggest that Sunfyre is able to feel Aegon's urgent need of him, and that's why he goes to Dragonstone, in order to reunite with Aegon and help him. When Sunfyre arrives at Dragonstone, he will be immediately met by a huge wild dragon that lives there, the Grey Ghost. Even though wounded and younger, Sunfyre will manage to kill Grey Ghost. The partially devoured corpse of a wild dragon, the Grey Ghost, will then be found near the mountain's base. Sir Robert Quince, Castellan of Dragonstone, assumes that the Grey Ghost had been killed by the cannibal, another wild dragon. Intrigued by the mention of the golden scales by those who saw the fight, however, the disguised Aegon assembles a party and searches for Sunfyre, and they find him in a hidden lair on the Dragonmont. Aegon flies upon Sunfyre every day, regaining strength, while his loyal men are looking for supporters to help Aegon take Dragonstone from Rhaenyra. Aegon ends up taking Dragonstone. Lady Rhaenyra Targaryen avoids capture, however, and reaches her green dragon, Moondancer. When Aegon victoriously flies a still-injured Sunfyre to the castle, Moondancer rises to meet him. Although younger and smaller, Moondancer is quicker than Sunfyre and at full strength. Moondancer rakes Sunfyre's side and attacks his malformed wing, but she is then blinded by a blast of Sunfyre's golden flames. The colliding dragons crash into the ground, where the larger Sunfyre kills Moondancer. Aegon breaks both of his legs, and Bela is taken captive by the Greens. The battle with Moondancer leaves already wounded Sunfyre even more injured than he had been before. He is covered in fresh scars along his back, has huge wounds along his neck and scabs on his belly, and has lost his right eye. No longer able to fly, Sunfyre remains in the outer yard where he had fallen, feeding first on the carcass of Moondancer and later on slaughtered sheep. Aegon has Grand Maester Gerardis strangled and disemboweled, allowing Sunfyre to feast upon the legs and innards. Aegon has the Master's head and upper torso put on display at Dragonstone's gatehouse to welcome Rhaenyra for her eventual return, as the Queen has fled King's Landing after the storming of the Dragon Pit. When Rhaenyra Targaryen returns to Dragonstone, she is taken captive by the Greens. Accounts differ on how the reunion between the half-siblings occurred. The pro-Greens Septon Eustace says Rhaenyra laughed when she saw the crippled Sunfyre. On the other hand, she reflected on the war according to the pro-Blacks Mushroom. In the end, Aegon feeds his half-sister to his dragon. Sunfyre bathes her in a blast of flame before closing his jaws around her arm and shoulder. Sunfyre devours Rhaenyra in 6 bites, leaving only lower part of her left leg. Prince Aegon the Younger, son of Rhaenyra and Daemon, is forced to watch Sunfyre eat his mother, and Alinda Massey, trusted friend of Rhaenyra, gouged out her own eyes in horror. Although King Aegon initially hoped that Sunfyre might recover enough to fly once again, the dragon weakened and eventually refused to eat. He dies from his stinking wounds on the 9th day of the 12th moon of 130 AC. Aegon later returns to King's Landing to rule and sends for dragon eggs from Dragonstone, hoping for a new Sunfyre. Sunfyre, despite being one of the youngest dragons during the Dance of the Dragons, ends up being one of the major dragons of the conflict, killing more dragons than any other dragon. In the end, Sunfyre dies, but not before he made everything he could to ensure Aegon wins and survives to his best ability. Sunfyre and Aegon have one of the strongest bonds. They are both injured and dying, but Sunfyre tries in every way to survive until Aegon reaches his objective. In the end, after Rhaenyra's death, Sunfyre dies in peace, thinking Aegon's victory is now secure. The most beautiful dragon of House Targaryen history and the one with the most dragon kills. Sunfyre is one of the most interesting dragons, and he is alive. Sunfyre will be back and ready to help his rider defeat Rhaenyra. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.